How's it going, folks, and welcome back to F1 Manager. Last race, our first episode. Well, let's be honest, it went quite well at Bahrain. Esteban Ocon finishing 5th, Alonso also finishing in the points. Before we get into things today, I want to say a big thank you. The support on that first episode was absolutely mad. Really, really cool to see. Of course, I have been streaming F1 Manager over on Twitch on the regular, so if you have been watching the first couple of these videos thinking, man, I'd like to see more F1 Manager, maybe come join us over on Twitch. We are doing a save game with Has, but, well, as for us today, we're here at Alpine. We're heading to Jeddah, and today it's the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So, of course, Jeddah is one of the latest additions to the F1 calendar. It is a high-speed circuit, lots of high-speed corners. That is definitely going to work in our favour. You can see here the car attributes most important for this track. Top speed, of course, but the high and medium speed cornering both in open air and also in dirty air when you're trailing a car in front is going to be very, very important. In today's episode, because I appreciate a lot of people came over for the first episode, maybe from my Football Manager stuff, I am going to attempt to explain some of the F1 terminology I know. I realise some people were probably sat in the last episode with a dictionary out trying to find out what the hell I was talking about at times. We are actually 5th when it comes to high-speed cornering, and whilst our overall speed is a little bit middle of the pack, I'm hoping that that high-speed cornering is really going to set us up for some overtakes on the straights. Now, last episode, we, of course, upgraded the CFD simulator and the factory. I do want to upgrade a couple of things here. First and foremost, the weather center. I think for most teams, this starts at a very, very low level. Getting the weather right, pulling the right strategies, especially later on in the season where we're probably not going to be racing in deserts all the time, it's going to be in our benefit to basically be able to anticipate when the rain is going to come a little more accurately. They are the kind of races that can make or break our season, especially because, just as a little reminder, the expectation for this season is 4th place. And whilst, yes, we have got off to a good start in that regard, to maintain this, especially with Alfa Romeo and a Valtteri Bottas, who's very good in F1 Manager, it is going to be tricky. Now, last episode, we made the decision to upgrade our chassis. I am going to start a new project on our side pod, and because the ATR period is only 42 days, we are going to put all our eggs in the basket here. All our remaining time is going to go on developing a new side pod. In terms of design focus, you can see here, there are presets you can use in the game, such as to optimize aerodynamics, optimize cooling, or a balanced approach. You can kind of choose these as you see fit. With our car, our engine cooling, I believe, was reasonably good already. So with that in mind, I think we're going to go with race performance, which is going to reduce engine cooling, but kind of enhance the other areas. You can see the exact effect it's going to have on the car here. So you know what? Let's develop this. Let's stick some engineers on it. We'll have some side pods coming. We do have a chance to set performance targets. These are goals which, if we hit, we get more money. In saying that we're going to get to Q3, in saying that I think we have at least one driver capable of getting in the top 10, we are going to be, well, potentially getting £108,000. However, if we don't do it, we lose 27,000. If we were more of a struggling team, I'd probably be a little more adverse to this. I do also have the option to tick the qualifying position, which involves potentially getting $125,000. The flip side being is, if we don't get a car in the top 8, we actually lose money. Do I feel like gambling? I didn't feel like gambling when I initially set this up, but you know what? I've hit the record button. I've got caught up in the moment. We're going to go for it. So unsurprisingly, as we head into race weekend, the forecast is, sunny and cloudy. I don't think we're going to be seeing any rain here in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I could be wrong. Could get caught out massively if it does start raining, but I've not seen it rain in anyone's gameplay at this track. So I think we're going to be safe in that regard. Last episode, people got very, very upset about the fact I didn't do practice. And I've listened to you, I've heard you, and I've decided I don't care. Whilst you can undoubtedly get an advantage in practice, I don't think it makes or breaks things to the stage where I feel like I want to spend an extra 40 minutes doing it. We're going to get straight to qualifying. I'm sorry if me playing a management game how I want to offend you. You'll get over it. It'll be fine. I promise. Don't leave the video. Don't leave. We're fine. We're fine. It'll be okay. Trust me. So at the end of the simulated practice sessions, you can see here Max Verstappen quickest in the Red Bull. The Ferraris trailing behind Perez in 4th. As for ourselves, down in 9th and 11th. That lofty ambition that I set of 8th, it feels like a lofty ambition right now, doesn't it? We are a little off the pace. Pierre Gasly and Valtteri Bottas, the two drivers that I think we have a chance of catching. The Mercedes might just be a little bit too quick for us looking at things. That said, it can all change in qualifying. Let's go see how we got on, shall we? So going into this qualifying session, really targeting to get both cars into the final session, Q3. Of course, if we could get top 8, that would be fantastic, but we knew it was going to be tricky. Pierre Gasly and Valtteri Bottas, really our two rivals, I feel like. They are the standout drivers for their respective teams. I feel like we have two pretty similar drivers in terms of ability. By comparison, those teams clearly have number one drivers, and well, my fears, my worries, they were going to be confirmed because you can see here, first hot laps of Q1 completed. Ocon went well. Gasly, however, going 30 thousandths of a second faster. And then Alonso, well, he was on a fly. He managed to get a 10th up on Gasly, outperforming Ocon, which was good to see. And, well, when the times came in at the end of Q1, I felt like we were in a good spot. I didn't feel a need to worry. So with that in mind, I didn't send my drivers out again. Now, everyone else went out. It was one of those moments where you look around and everyone else is doing something different to you and you wonder, have I done the right thing? Well, the good news was we were in good stead. Alonso 7th, Ocon 10th. Those laps on a track that wasn't rubbered in, really, really impressive. And that certainly boosted my hopes going into Q2, that Q3 for both cars was indeed possible. So a bit of an interesting conundrum now, because we've saved a set of softs. Of course, tyres are a currency in F1, and having some saved was great to see. And in Q2, initially, some solid, clean laps. I feel like it's always just good to get a banker to be nice and safe. Unfortunately, though, it's blooming Pierre Gasly between our drivers yet again. And by the time that we were going out for our next runs, as you can see, Bottas had also managed to split our drivers. But we were on course to make it through to Q3. And we wanted to make sure that we were going to be making it through to Q3. So both drivers out this time. We weren't doing the same thing twice. That would have been mental. 6th and 9th place at the moment, but everyone out on track trying to improve their times. Verstappen first across the line. He improved his. Perez as well improving theirs. Leclerc went first overall. As Alonso crossed the line, it was not a good lap. Ocon able to make up one position and go better than Pierre Gasly, but unfortunately for us, Pierre Gasly clapped back immediately. There was still Zhou, there was still Ricciardo. We were nervous here. I wasn't too worried about the Haas or Tsunoda. Tsunoda crossed the line. Was he able to improve his time? He was, but not by enough to even go up one spot. Danny Rick crossed to go faster than Zhou. The Alpha, which has potential as Bottas has shown, and able to go faster than Ocon. Both drivers through. As Magnussen did go 12th fastest overall, but both drivers into the final session was absolutely massive. And you can see going into this third and final qualifying session, we had tyres to spare. Decided to send both drivers out initially on used softs. Then we have the option, come the end of the session, do I want to use fresh softs or one proper stonker of a lap to try and get that top 8 finish? Anyway, drivers out on track here for Q3. And we were on a flyer, at least initially, but a Ferrari up the road. We've been here before. The good news for us was Leclerc did get out of the way of Alonso, but as for Ocon, he wasn't quite as fortunate. You can see there, did have to lift slightly. It wasn't the worst block in the world, but Ocon definitely had to lift and take his foot off the accelerator. And in these high-speed turns, you definitely lose time doing that. So I knew that it wasn't going to be great for Ocon. I knew he was going to have to go out again. Alonso, though, a good lap. Not the best lap, 0.7 seconds down on Perez, but that is just kind of where we're at right now. As for Ocon, you can see 0.6 of a second lost, courtesy of Charles Leclerc's blocking. But you know what? Karma sometimes acts rather fast. Leclerc on his flying lap, having just held up us, got a taste of his own medicine. Ocon, not getting out the way, did not give a Scooby-Doo, did not give a hoot. What's better than one Alpine blocking Leclerc? I'll tell you what it is. It's Fernando Alonso getting in on the action. We completely ruined Leclerc's lap. Did I feel bad? No, I didn't. Anyway, for the second runs of this session, I had a bit of a dilemma. Obviously, Alonso 4th fastest, but we knew that blocking had been a factor. In the end, I decided to put Ocon on new tyres just to see what he could do and let Alonso save a set of softs for the race. So we have got a bit of tactical flexibility with Alonso. After those initial runnings, Gasly was 0.091 seconds behind. As for Ocon, good news, he was faster in his second sector. That area where he'd lost time previously, he was improving in. The question was, where were we going to be? Alonso in 7th, Ocon in 10th. Could either driver improve? Mercedes were able to improve. Bottas ahead of Alonso. Alonso crossed the line, but couldn't better Bottas's time. Ocon crossed the line and did improve, but not by enough. Pierre Gasly, where he'd been for the entire session, sat between our cars. Bottas up in 7th, but the good news for us was that 8th place aim had been achieved, And Fernando Alonso has got a set of fresh softs for the race. Speaking of which, we should go plan our strategy. I feel like I've gone full-blown Ferrari here because on Alonso, folks, I'm going to go with a strategy D. Yeah, I've added in my own little strategy. So the recommended strategy is a medium hard, but the soft hard is considered a second faster if you can make the tyres work. Now, as you can see at the top here, the tyres are going to be marginal at certain points, but if we get one safety car, that is all we would need to make this work, to, extend the life of one of these two stints. Ideally, maybe during the soft stint. If we're extending the hards, there's a risk, obviously, that teams could pit around us. And, we're basically trying to get some track position early. The car's main strength is in its high-speed cornering. And I think we've got a fast race car. So with that in mind, I'm going to try something a little bit ambitious, but we save those softs. I think it's a strategy that could work for us. As for Esteban Ocon, well, you can see here, his strategy is looking like a medium hards. What we could do, I do realise, is just up the race pace target of the mediums here to get a better idea of how things might look, depending on how hard we push. But for both drivers, I'm thinking that going onto the hards later on in the race is the better idea. If we were a slower team, I would probably start on the hards to give me the biggest window possible to possibly hold out for a safety car. But we look quick in quali, and I think if everyone else around is starting on the medium and hards, we have a pretty good chance of making up some positions with both drivers. I mean, that's the theory. Let's see if it holds out, shall we?
The drivers are lined up tonight under mostly clear skies. Looking at Fernando Alonso here. A top 10 position today, but will they be able to capitalise on it? Further back, we've got Esteban Ocon. They might not be in the top 3 spots, but things could change fast once the race gets underway. And we're just moments away now. It's almost time for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go.
Let's see how we go on here, folks. Both drivers in a good position, in my opinion. If we can get off to good starts, that would be ideal. I don't want to see us racing too hard into the first corner. Looks like we're going to get through clearly. Ocon currently side by side with Pierre Gasly. Can he make this move stick, though? He should have the line for the next corner, and in fact, he has managed to make that move. So we're up into P8 and P9 here. Really, we want to be looking at Alonso. Looking at the drivers around us, Bottas is also going on the softs. His are used, though, so expect Bottas to be going for a 2-stopper. Besides them, you can see Zhou and Tsunoda also on the softs. It's not really ideal, Bottas being on the softs, if I'm honest, but given ours are a little bit fresher, we're going to be able to push that little bit harder with them. Could certainly work out in our favour, but a pass here without DRS might be tricky. I'm going to put Alonso into deploy here. Definitely going to have a chance into the latter stages of this lap. This is where our car is good. Dirty air, high-speed corners. And Alonso thinking about making a move as we are heading towards the chicane. He is not able to get alongside, sadly. I'm a tiny bit worried that the 6 kind of leading cars are going to vanish up the track, but in some ways that would just open up some clear air for us to ride in. And Alonso, he's going to go for the fake. Might have the inside line here into the final corner as Bottas wants to move across but just can't quite commit to it. And Alonso could end up going around the outside here of the Alfa Romeo. He should get a better run out of this straight, but unfortunately just squeezed out slightly, had to lift off to let Bottas by. Still though, a good solid opening lap for us. I want to conserve our batteries on both drivers now just as we approach the second lap. I feel like DRS into lap 3 is going to be where perhaps we can look to make some moves. But to be honest, for now, we're all okay just cruising along. I'm going to tell Ocon not to fight his teammate. If he follows along with Alonso, great. But I don't want us on the medium tyres here, compromising Alonso, who is really looking to go as fast as possible early on in this race. You can see not a huge gap emerging between any of the cars right now. Perhaps the Red Bull of Perez is dropping Hamilton as they are now outside the DRS range. So for people who are non-F1 fans, DRS is the drag reduction system. It is active after 2 laps during a race or 2 laps after a restart. On certain parts of the track, you'll see the DRS icon in the left kind of and right corners respectively go green. Essentially, a flap opens on the rear wing. It allows more airflow, reduces drag, and allows for a faster straight line speed. You are allowed to activate that on certain parts of the track if you're within 1 second of the car in front. So being able to keep up with cars in front is important. And when I talk about braking DRS kind of trains and kind of braking the DRS, I'm talking about trying to get either a second ahead of the car behind you so they don't have that catch up. So you can see here, the DRS is now enabled. Ocon, by the way, in a perfectly good position. He's a little bit behind, but of course he is on the mediums rather than the softs. I feel like we could be on for a P7 and a P8 if we play our cards right here, although that can all change very, very quickly over the course of a race. As we approach the end of lap 3, Fernando Alonso still right behind Bottas. You can see how his rear wing has opened in this DRS zone because Bottas is within 1 second of the cars in front. It's going to make it tricky for Alonso to pass as well. Ahead of us, the Mercedes appear to be fighting with one another, which can kind of work in our favour. I'm going to switch to deploy here and see if we can maybe make a move here. It might be a bit ambitious, but let's go for it. Fernando Alonso, you were racy last race. Can he get Bottas on the inside here? He is going to give it a mighty fine go. Can he stick it round the outside? Valtteri Bottas just about hanging on in there, although Alonso should have the line for the upcoming left-hander, and in fact, he is going to make that move stick. A massive, massive move for Fernando. Of course, Ocon now running directly behind Bottas. Wouldn't mind him trying to have a go, but we've got to remember, in Ocon's case, he is on the slower medium tyres. So in Formula 1, there are 3 different compounds of tyres. There are the hards, mediums, and softs. Harders have a longer tyre life but are slower. Mediums, I think you can see where this is going. They're kind of the medium speed one. They have a balance of both lifespan and also speed. And then the softs are a tyre that are quicker, but also tend to degrade a lot quicker. Alonso right now, behind these two Mercedes. There are no team orders over at Mercedes. They are racing one another. Alonso, he's just hanging back like a shark, waiting for his opportunities. Of course, both these cars on the yellow banded tyres, they are the mediums. So Alonso should be a bit quicker. My worry is, even if we do get ahead of these guys, will we be able to get that extra second ahead? I think for now, it might be in our interest for Alonso just to look to harvest a little bit, although Valtteri Bottas is trying to make the exact same move that we made the previous lap, and in fact, he is going to make it stick, is he? Yeah, he is. He's going to just squeeze out Fernando there. I think this could be a Alfa Romeo Alpine face-off this race. I feel like Alonso-Bottas, probably a duel that we're going to see a lot over the course of this year. I think for the rest of this lap, we're just going to look to charge the battery. We want to have this as full as possible if we are going to try and make a move on the cars in front. Ultimately, we know Bottas's tyres have a bit more wear. He is going to pit sooner. And with that in mind, there probably will come an opportunity for Alonso to really push with some clean air in front. For now, I'm quite content with him just trailing this pack by a second and seeing how they can pull us along. I'll tell you what, I told Ocon not to fight his teammate, and he almost tried to make a move there. Esteban, that is why I told you not to fight. You were not meant to do that, mate. What are you doing, you naughty, naughty man? And you can see now he is a second and a half behind, and Guan Yu Zhou is right behind him. This is not what we want to see. He might have just played himself. I might have to put him into deploy battery mode here just to try and get within that 1 second range. Of course, there is going to be a concertina effect with this line of cars. Hamilton and Russell, the two Mercedes, are racing against one another. As a result, it's going to start to back up everyone behind, and it should make it a little easier for Esteban Ocon to stay within touching distance. As you can see, he's already managed to close down that gap, which is really what we want to see. Elsewhere, Alonso's battery nice and charged now. Esteban Ocon has just set the fastest lap. There is this train emerging. I feel like Ocon and Alonso are going to be trailing Bottas a little bit here. We might see a bit of swapping in position, but really we're waiting for the pit window. The good news for us, though, is we are a quick car in clean air, which we thought was the case. Of course, we are pushing a little bit with Ocon, trying to keep him up with the pack. But I think we're on for a good position and a good race here as well, we'll see what emerges over the next few laps. Is there a chance to maybe get Bottas up the insider? It's going to involve some late, brave braking. Unfortunately, we are not going to make it happen here. We're going to go back on conserving these tyres. As much as I want to push with these and go aggressive crazily, there is a race to run. We've got to be patient. Elsewhere, by the way, Ocon has just got squeezed out by the Alfa Romeo. Guan Yu Zhou just making that move in Sector 1. Not a place where you expect to see many overtakes, but he just about managed to make it work. And with that, it is now an Alfa Romeo Alpine train emerging. Worth noting, Zhou is on those soft tyres, so we don't necessarily need to panic too much. I am beginning to wonder if maybe we should just look to conserve these tyres a little bit more on Alonso. We know we're going to be able to run longer. You can see Zhou's really managed to add some life to his tyres. He could be going for a one-stop now. Bottas's tyres were significantly more used because he had used them in Q3. Because Zhou, I think, had finished 11th in qualifying, so he didn't have to use them for that extra session. I have a sneaking suspicion he might be on the same strategy as us. I'm telling Alonso to look after his tyres here, but you can see the Mercedes just fighting against one another. I feel like we could be quicker in a better spot. There might be a chance here. I'm going to go deploy. We're going to push here. There could be a chance. We're going to have DRS. The Mercedes doesn't have it. He's going to get swallowed whole by Valtteri Bottas. Unfortunately for us, there is not space on the inside because Guan Yu Zhou is looking to capitalise on this. The traffic has kind of worked against us massively here. Can Alonso just about keep it ahead? Zhou really thought about having to go. He made that same move already on Ocon in this race. But Alonso just about holding on for now. Lap 11 now. We're in 10th and 8th, which is perfectly fine. I've told both drivers just to ease off on their tyres a little bit. I don't want us to burn up our tyres unnecessarily here. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to make the move sticking. In fact, Bottas pitting early here. He has to go on the two-stopper. Find it unlikely they're going to put him on the hards here. In fact, they are putting him on the hards. Is he really going to try and make these work to the end of the race? I mean, according to our graph, putting on the hards to the end of the race in about, what, 7 laps time is going to be ambitious. I do not see a world where this strategy is going to work for Bottas. I could be wrong. If he finishes above us, please don't come back to this moment in the video. But I think we're in an okay spot. Alonso in 7th, Ocon in 9th, but both drivers with life left in their tyres. We are seeing the gaps emerge a little bit here. You can see Alonso has fallen behind Hamilton, and in fact, we really don't want to see us battling with Zhou.
You can speed up, please. Speed up.
But maybe it's not a bad thing. The big thing really for us is trying to keep up with Hamilton. You can see Russell has managed to get ahead of him. So this train that was just cars chasing one another is starting to spread out as the different tyres kind of show their performance potential. I do feel bad for Ocon, the fact I've told him just to stick behind Alonso here, but this is not his race. And in fact, Alpine pitting here with Zhou. They are going very, very early on the pit stop here. To the point where I'm a little bit puzzled by it. Do they know something I don't know? What tyre are they going to be putting him onto here? They're going to put him on the yellow medium tyres or the white softs. It's going to be no tyres. The white softs, the white hards even. That was distracting, wasn't it? Where did the tyres go? They're cheating. They've got different tyres to everyone else. So Zhou coming out just behind Bottas. You've got to imagine these two are going to work with one another to try and, well, pull each other along in this race for the remainder of it. I am going to swap our cars around here. Alonso's tyres are just entering a window where they are going to struggle a little bit more. With that in mind, I'm going to let Ocon go ahead and hope that Alonso can keep within a second and with that just be pulled along, because Ocon has got more life in his tyres. He doesn't need to conserve them quite as much. He's in a position where he can push more. With the kind of fuel command, you have your fuel load. If you're behind another car, you can usually stick on push and not kind of run out of fuel. But you'll still end up working a net positive. Ocon's obviously got plenty of fuel surplus, so having them be this way around, I think is going to work in our interest. Well, of course, Alonso wants to make the overtake here, which is kind of fair enough. But, of course, he has got DRS, so that is why it's a little easier for him to close the gap here. I will just tell Ocon to get a little more aggressive here, to just up the speed just a little bit. Maybe we can avoid them slowing them down, each other down, like they did there. But I think we're entering a phase in this race where it's about doing our own thing. Alonso will be coming into the pits in a few laps, and with that, we will see where he comes out versus the Alfa Romeos, of course. That's who we are racing, it feels like, at this moment in time. Pierre Gasly, who was a constant threat during qualifying, has been dropped a little bit. He is running on the mediums. So Hamilton has just pitted ahead of us. He's gone onto the hards. It seems like the one-stopper is the preferred strategy. Seems like most teams are going to be running the mediums or softs onto the hards. Alonso's concerned about his tyres. Don't worry, Fernando. You've got one more lap like this. Is he within a second of Ocon? He is. Okay, we're still in an okay spot. We're already on the overcut, Alonso. Don't question me. So this is the lap we are going to be pitting Fernando.
Okay.
Tyres
box
not
stop.
looking great. I'm hoping that Ocon has done enough in terms of pushing along just to help Alonso get as much, well, speed out of these old softs as he can. Of course, the softs are a quicker tyre than the hards. I have a sneaking suspicion we're in a world where we may end up coming out behind Bottas in Giro, but we will have hards that are kind of 3 or 4 laps fresher. We will be in a position where we can push it a little bit more on them to end the race. I'm going to ask both drivers to deploy here as well. We're really just trying to get Alonso as much speed as possible. In fact, Alonso just dropping out of that second range, which we need him to be in for the DRS. These tyres have gone. I'm taking a bit of a risk by telling him to get aggressive, but if we can get within a second of Ocon, it would be ideal for this upcoming section. Going to try and slow down Ocon as much as we can through some extra instructions. Every millisecond could count here. Alonso is definitely struggling at this moment in time to keep up. Can we get him within a second? Ocon, mate, can you chill? Chill your beans, Ocon.
Okay, recharge on.
We want to be within a second for the straight. It's a short run in for Alonso. Really, the damage has already been done here. Is he going to close that gap to a second? You can see the tyre wear really limiting his ability to close that gap, even with the battery difference. He is going to come in this lap. Fernando, push this as much as you can. Ocon, you can go now, mate. I'm sorry that you had to be the sacrificial lamb of sorts to try and make something happen there for Alonso. It didn't really work out as I wanted it to.
No lift and coast required from our side.
Worth noting, Ocon is going to be pitting very, very soon. Where we pit, or how soon we pit Ocon, is probably going to come down to where Alonso comes out. I'm telling Ocon to push just in case. Alonso in the pits now. Bottas coming around that opening corner. And you can see we have lost time in the pits. We went long. It's not really worked. Although, I'll tell you what, Alonso, I think, has managed to get Zhou there. He has indeed. That is good for us. And because of those Alphas pitting soon, you can see Bottas down 12% on wear. So this race is certainly not over. But Fernando is going to have to push hard, you'd imagine, to close that 1.5 second gap between Bottas and Hamilton and the 2.5 second gap he has to Bottas. As for Ocon, with the knowledge we have, I feel like his mediums still have a little bit of life left in them. You can see he really did manage them quite well. So we're going to just get him to burn through these for a lap or two extra than the original plan was. I was not expecting us to have as much tyre life as we do have in them. Ocon's smoothness attribute is really, really good. So it does limit the tyre wear in these kind of situations. So just looking at last lap times, you can see Ocon running with 1:34s. By comparison, Bottas on the hards is still a second slower. Other teams are starting to pit who are on the same strategy as us, which is absolutely fine. I think we've got maybe 1 or 2 more laps left in Ocon at this speed. Then we'll look to haul him in. But I think Ocon is probably going to come out in a pretty good spot here. He's still in a world where he's saved pace. There's no denying that. But he's running at 1:34s, 1:35s. Alonso, by comparison, 0.6 seconds slower. I think we keep Ocon out for 1 more lap here. But he's doing very, very well. He extended the stint on the mediums. Everyone else has come in for the hards. Okay, this is the big moment. Lap 22. We are going to pit. Ocon coming into the final turn now, of course. The Ferraris and Red Bulls ahead have already stopped. So don't get too carried away there. This pit stop, though, is going to be big for us. Ocon is going to be coming in. Where is he going to come out? Realistically, I think he's going to come out just ahead of Ricciardo. Alonso has made a move on Bottas.
Okay, so there we have the Alpine.
Really good move by Fernando into that chicane in Sector 2. Into the start of Sector 3. Really, really, really nice. Still a risk that Bottas could come back with the DRS. So this move is not done yet. Especially because Alonso hasn't got that DRS on Bottas. If we just look at Bottas, you can see that rear wing open on the back of his car. And, well, unfortunately for us, he's managed to make that move work. So Fernando losing ground on Bottas after that DRS incident. The good news for us is Ocon has come out behind. And Danny Rick, on those old hards, getting in the way in that papaya of the McLaren, is probably going to work in our favour here. We've got a lot of pushing that we can do on these hard tyres for Ocon. Temperatures are going to have to be monitored. But all in all, we are in a good spot to push, push, push in a way that this Alpha in front really cannot afford to do. And in fact, oh my word, surely not Esteban Ocon. He's going for 2 moves on the same corner. He might run into some issues as he compromises his line. The McLaren and the Alpha are racing what it feels like to the death on this final corner. Ocon looking to maybe make something work here. Going to try and go up the inside of the Alfa Romeo. As much as I want him to really, really push, I'm going to actually ask him to harvest as he loses time there, having to, well, ease off the throttle. The good news for us is Alonso is back with the pack. But I think for Ocon now, let's charge the battery. That is going to need to be recharged if he wants to have a proper sustained go. I think we're going to have to go into neutral as much as I don't really want to do it. I think it is necessary. We are basically going to burn as much of the battery as we, well, recharge each lap, meaning that there is no net gain, but it should give us just about the speed that we require to catch up with the cars ahead. Worth noting, by the way, there is not a big gap now between ourselves and the Mercedes. Has the Haas of Magnussen pitted yet? It hasn't. But the Mercedes have, and their wear is not good, especially compared to Esteban Ocon's. More comparable, I suppose, to Alonso's. We could have a new train emerging. Ocon has managed to clear Danny Rick. Can Alonso do the same on the same lap? This is pretty important for our race. Ocon suddenly 2 seconds behind Magnussen and Bottas up the road. This is the effect Danny Rick is having. He is so much slower than all the other cars here. You can see 1.6 seconds slower than Alonso last lap. Alonso, can you make this work? We've got his battery on deploy to try and make a move stick here. There's yellow flags in Sector 2, and it looks like there's been a crash. What has happened here? We could have a red flag because the track is blocked. There is an absolute mess going on here. Ocon is driving slowly. A VSC has kicked in here. And it looks like Ocon has picked up front wing damage. This is absolute disaster. Major damage to his front wing. He is going to have to pit. I do not know what happened there. This does open up the opportunities to go on to mediums for Esteban Ocon. Could he do mediums to the end of the race? He'd have to manage them like crazy. Let's confirm these changes. Ocon's coming in. Let's watch the replay. What happened here? I think both Alphas might be out. It was Magnussen, and I think this is Bottas, racing wheel to wheel, and Magnussen just locks up, goes into the back. That is surely going to ruin both of their races. So we have got a virtual safety car here. So the way this works is there is a delta time set. All cars have to maintain that pace. Because we're under a virtual safety car, no one is pulling ahead of anyone else. I'm very surprised Danny Rick didn't pit here. This is absolute chaos. Ocon, very, very unfortunate to just get caught up in the mess, it feels like. His stop time was 7 seconds. This is going to change things a little bit. Suddenly, Alonso, who looked marginal on the tyres, is going to be in a much better spot. I can't imagine this is going to be active for too much longer, though. But it certainly shakes up our race. Suddenly, Alonso is in P8. Ocon caught up in the mess down in 15th. Sucks for him, but an opportunity for us, maybe with Alonso, to get 7th or higher. Okay, virtual safety car is ending. So with that in mind, we are going to crank everything back to what it should be for the start of this race. Of course, every car now on the grid is going to have a lot more fuel because we've just driven slowly for a lap or two. So Alonso right now in 8th, a minute behind the leaders, 1.8 seconds behind Danny Rick, who I think has actually benefited massively from that VSC. Ocon by comparison, loads of clear air ahead of him. Lance Stroll, the next car up the road. We've put him on these mediums as a bit of a gamble. I think he can make these work. He can probably get a little bit aggressive on them. Everyone around him is on hards that are going to be older. Ocon is going to have to do some motor racing, folks, but 22 laps left. Something interesting could happen here yet. Something could happen here. Oh, English is hard. The pressure's getting to me. Alonso is managing to catch up with Danny Rick now, but he's still stuck behind him. We'll go aggressive into this final turn to try and make something happen. There is a risk that Danny Rick pits this lap, and suddenly this train of cars behind Fernando Alonso all have DRS and can make something happen. Danny Rick is going to stay out. I don't really want to deploy here, but I need to clear this gap. Danny Rick, you have been a pain in the arse today. Can Fernando Alonso make something work into turn 1? He's got fresher tyres. He should be able to make this work. He's going to hang it up around the outside, but he should now have the inside line for the next couple of turns. And he is going to make that move stick. We're now going to hope that Danny Rick can do what he's just done to Alonso to the cars behind. So DRS re-enabled after that safety car. So worth noting, that was probably why Alonso couldn't get by, because we had to wait the 2 laps for the drag reduction system to be re-enabled. And, well, you can see Ocon still in 15th. He is going to be starting his attempted charge up the field. The Aston Martin looks so wide as we trail it. Is there an option here to make something happen? Maybe? Doesn't look like it, unfortunately. We have got to manage the tyres a little bit, although he did go a tiny bit wide. Maybe there was a chance. I'm going to put him on deploy. Elsewhere, Danny Rick is now 3 seconds behind Alonso. That gives you an idea of how much Alonso was being slowed down. We're still on overtake. We're still on aggressive. We're still in a higher, well, aggressive driving style to burn through that little bit more fuel. Can he make a move up the inside of the Aston? The Aston wants to come across, but he's still hanging up the inside on those mediums. He's going to make the move work. Was he behind for the DRS detection zone there? It was very close for the two drivers. Whose wing is going to open? It is going to be the Aston Martin's, but I think even with DRS on those older tyres, with us in that deployed battery, we should be okay here to make this move stick. And now it's about just building a gap before the next DRS zone, which I think we should be able to do. So we're definitely entering a phase in the race where things are, well, spreading out a little bit. The safety car that kind of messed up Ocon's race has definitely not really worked out for us all in all. Although Alonso is now running in 7th, only trailing the Red Bulls, Mercedes and Ferraris. That is not a bad spot to be in. As for Ocon, he is catching the pack in front, of course. He is on those mediums. Has got to be a little bit wary of how much he's burning through them, mind you. I have had him driving pretty aggressively just to try and get back to the points. Of course, in Formula 1, you only get points for the top 10. So we want to be pushing for 10th if we can. Right now, if we want to get there, we are about 10 seconds behind. Okay, interesting situation here. Zhou has come into the pits, as has Tsunoda. I don't think there was an incident. Has Zhou decided that the hards aren't worth it to the end? It looks like he has. He's now on the mediums. Does put them behind Ocon. You can see Bottas also on the medium tyres. He was involved in that crash with Magnussen. Seems like everyone who's pitting is now just going onto the mediums to try and get to the end. Bottas 5 seconds behind Ocon, mind you. And Ocon right now chasing Mick Schumacher in a slow Haas. I think for now, I want him to just harvest the battery if he can and sit behind a little bit. Mick is on the harder tyres, though, and the Haas is a slower car. There's definitely an option, I think, for Ocon to make a move here. But to be honest, just charging the battery, perhaps in our interest. As for Alonso, he's 18 seconds behind the Mercedes ahead, who are racing one another, I should point out. And, well, Norris, by comparison, 7.5 seconds behind. Fernando's doing his own thing. He's just having a lovely Sunday drive with 13 laps left. Esteban Ocon is saving his race right now. He has managed to get past Mick Schumacher, even whilst harvesting the battery. These mediums looking really good. We are going to have to monitor their life going into the end of this race. But after, well, let's be honest, a pretty disastrous incident that involved a nose change, he's in a much better spot for us. And double points looked on the board once again this weekend.
Perez off.
Perez has crashed. There has been a competitor crash as that overtake has happened. Sergio Perez has had an incident, and there is a safety car.
DRS disabled.
And unfortunately for us, both our drivers have passed the pit lane. So the safety car is going to be out here. There is no overtaking on track. I'm not sure where he went off. I think I missed the crash prompt, so I can only apologise, but I was caught up in the moment. Is anyone going to pit here? It doesn't look like it. And suddenly, Alonso is going to move up to P6 with Perez out of this race. I mean, this is big for us. We want to be harvesting our batteries like hell. There still could be a very interesting end to this race. Lots of teams on the hards towards the front. Lots of teams on fresher mediums behind. I'm a bit concerned for Ocon. The gap from Ocon back is 9 seconds. We're not really in a position to pit here because Bottas on mediums, Mick on hards, within just a few seconds. I think, and I don't really like to say this, I've just got to keep both cars out. I was tempted to maybe pit Alonso for mediums with Norris and Gasly also on hards. I think he would have come out ahead of Ocon, but just not a risk I wanted to take. 9 laps left. Safety car is coming in. Batteries are charged. This is going to be a blockbuster end to the race. I feel like I probably should have left our drivers in push a little bit more to try and make things work. This has been a long safety car as well. The tyre life for everyone is going to be pretty good. It's definitely benefited Esteban Ocon. So on this restart, Alonso is 6th. Ocon is 9th. Worth noting that in-game, cars do not unlap themselves on the safety car. Something I would love to see change, but as a result of that, we have got a Williams of possibly Latifi or Albon in front, who we are not going to be racing against. We are about to have a very, very fun end to this race. Carlos Sainz is going to send them on their way. There could be carnage to start this. Keep an eye on Fernando Alonso, who has a Williams. We are not racing on the inside. Fernando, can you get them? He can.
Head down.
Chasing Hamilton just up the road. Okay. But another Williams and an Aston Martin also in the way. As for Ocon, Ocon has lost places there. The traffic, I think, causing all kinds of issues for him. And unfortunately, the cars that he's lost time to are cars on the mediums, which is not what we want to see one little bit right now. Ocon is back in 11th. I think for Ocon, it's going to be about trying to get into 10th. As, oh my word, what is happening here? There is absolute carnage. There is an Aston Martin not getting out the way. Who is that? Revoke their super license. Mick Schumacher's in 9th, by the way, just ahead of us. Ocon going to try and make something work. Can he get past the Aston? He can. He's not. I don't think he'll be able to get past the Williams here. Oh my God, there is a crash. No. We are going to have another safety car. And I don't know quite what to say. There is a safety car out. Ocon is taken out of this race.
Sounds like there's been
it's an absolute disaster. What's happened?
Now have a watch of this. Looks like Ocon.
It was messy anyway. Was it the Aston Martin crashed into him? The Aston Martin being lapped. As, I mean, what do you do, folks? I am in tears. There are 8 laps left. Heartbreak. Race 2, and Esteban Ocon has been done twice, it feels like. The highs of last weekend, finishing 5th. And in all the mess, our entire race now hinges on Alonso, who cannot pit here. Vettel, who caused the incident, is not out this race. He has ended Ocon's race, and he's still fine. Magnussen's locking up under the safety car. This could be absolute carnage to end this race. Safety car is in this lap. Alonso is in P6, just looking at the tyres behind. Lots of cars on hards. Probably going to help us out here. Fernando, what can you do? These hards are going to have plenty of life in them to push because we've done so many slower laps under this safety car. We still have a few cars that weren't able to unlap themselves from the previous safety car. It's been an absolutely mad race here. We have 2 retirements, 2 safety cars, a VSC. Ocon already got hit once before he got taken out. If you are enjoying this video, I'll just say it now. Make sure to like the video. Episode 3 will be coming your way soon. I can't promise it's going to be quite like this, but we are set up for a grandstand finish. There is going to be, what, 5 laps of racing here. It is so, so close. What can Fernando do for us? We are going to find out as he's thinking about making a move on the Mercedes. Worth noting that we have got these cars in front who are going to be causing some issues. There is an AlphaTauri there. I see I think another Aston Martin in the distance, and I'm starting to get PTSD. I'm getting flashbacks. And we're approaching that corner where we saw an incident before. Why are you not getting out of the way, Lance Stroll? I think I hate Aston Martin. Can I delete them from the game somehow? Hamilton is just vanishing up the road. We can't get by. We will now clear them. We're not going to get hit by them on this occasion. Is anyone else going to be involved? We've got the exact same situation emerging that caused the safety car behind previously. We're going to stick on board with Alonso here, who's going to have Norris behind him. Alonso really needs to try and close this gap to Hamilton to under a second before we get to the last sector. Otherwise, we are going to be looking over our shoulders rather than looking ahead. Good news, Alonso is in DRS range. The only thing we've not had today is a red flag. Could we get in the last 5 laps? I kind of hope we won't, although it would make things kind of spicy. We can dream, folks. Although, to be fair, 6th place for Alonso would still be a pretty good finish, you'd feel like, all things considering here. Yep. But this is okay. This is okay. Is Alonso going to look to have a move here? It's Lewis Hamilton ahead, by the way, of course. Alonso, Hamilton. There's some beef there. Maybe time's healed the wound, but it's existed before. Could it exist again? Fernando Alonso, 0.1 seconds behind, looking to make a move into these high-speed corners. This is our car's strength. I sound like a broken record. I've said it a lot. Our tyres are overheating, which is going to impact our life on them. I'm going to have to drop them back slightly. Alonso, though, he's not going to want to ease up. He is not a driver to slow down unnecessarily. If there's positions to be taken, he is going to want to take them. And he is still just chasing Hamilton through this dirty area. He's going to have a run in into the final corner. He fakes right, goes left. Hamilton covers it off, though. Less than a tenth of a second in it. Alonso thought about having to go up the inside. I keep looking in the bottom corner and just seeing Ocon's name and feeling sad. Does anyone else feel the same? But if we can just maintain this gap to Hamilton, charge the battery, I am okay with that. In fact, is Alonso going to look to have a move here? He had a go last lap. Had less charge than he is going to make a move. Unfortunately, we are not going to have DRS here. This could be a bit of tactics, a bit of gamesmanship by Lewis Hamilton. Give us the place, then get the DRS, and then just cruise by like this. I knew it. It was too good to be true. 3 laps left. We can go on aggressive to end this now. Fernando Alonso, 2.5 laps left. Into the chicane. Is going to get Lewis Hamilton done. He is going to have DRS to come back at us, and you can see that flap opening. Can Fernando hold on to it? That is going to be the question. We're now on to the start-finish straight. Let's hop on board with Hamilton, as he is going to be looking to hunt down our Alpine. 2 laps left of this race.
2 more laps.
We're in a good spot. We are going to hold position here. Alonso currently running in 5th place. It's going to take a monumental effort to hold on to this. Alonso, can he hold back Hamilton? Penultimate lap. Lewis Hamilton trying to make something work. You've got to think he's going to have a go at Alonso right at the death here. If not on this straight, into the final lap. And in fact, is he looking to have a go? He's not. He's going to hold back. He is going to have that DRS. We do not have a faster car than this Mercedes. I'm going to save battery here. If Hamilton gets by us, we'll have the charge to end the last lap. Fernando Alonso, 31% life left in these hards. Hamilton has got 35%. His tyres are that little bit fresher. We are pretty much guaranteed a top 6 finish at this moment in time. It's just a question of, can Fernando hold on? Can he keep this going? Fernando, P5. Back-to-back P5s would be absolutely massive. So gutted for Esteban. I feel like points was on the cards today. There is a yellow flag somewhere. Has something happened here? Has Carlos Sainz had a moment, I wonder? He's dropping down, is Carlos Sainz. He's off the road. He's off the track. Alonso is into P4. Carlos Sainz has crashed on the last lap. Oh my word, I saw the yellow flags. He's hit that hard. Surely that has to be a safety car. That is nasty. He very nearly went into the path of oncoming traffic as well. He's parked up. Is there going to be a safety car? It feels like it should be. I mean, if there is, that is going to bail us out massively. It looks like Hamilton is still right behind us. Not long left here. I need to save the last little bit of ERS, I feel like, for the finish line.
Recharge on. Okay.
We'll go to ploy now. Can Alonso hold on? Lewis Hamilton is hunting him down for 4th place. Carlos Sainz is out of this race. It's unbelievable. Alonso is going to look to hold it to the line. Lewis is trying to make a move. Can Alonso hold on? He can hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Alpine are going to get 4th in a race that had drama to the last. Absolutely unbelievable. Carlos Sainz sets the fastest lap, but it will count for absolutely nothing. He is going to finish 13th. My, oh my, oh my. An absolute classic of a race at Jeddah. Have you seen anything like that before? Don't answer that question if you watch Formula 1. You almost certainly have, but I'll tell you what, in F1 Manager terms, that was a stonker. I'm on cloud 9 and we've had a car retire. I think that gives you an idea of how today's gone. That was absolutely ridiculous. Fernando Alonso couldn't get a podium. We thought 5th was on. I think halfway through the race, I thought 7th was on. A tale of, well, I guess, opposite luck for either of our drivers. Unbelievable. I can't believe the race we've just watched. This is a longer video. If you've gotten to the end, folks, drop a like on it. I'm sorry for editing. Jackie's got to try and make this a shorter, well, than 45-minute video was the aim. That ain't happening. Oh, my word. Oh, my word. Wow. So here are the final standings after that race. That was absolutely nuts. Fernando Alonso, 4th place, 12 points. That is monumental for us. Looking at the updated standings, we sit on 23 points. A good opening couple of races for us. Bit unlucky about Ocon, the fact he couldn't finish the race. But you know what? I'm not going to worry about that too much. On the whole, a fantastic weekend for us that hopefully is going to keep, well, some momentum going into the next race, which, as I've already said, is going to be at Australia. I am going to go take a breather. We've got Australia up next. That will be up over the weekend, and I hope you are hyped for it. As I already said, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a mad one. If you got any comments, thoughts, could I have done anything differently to do better? Let me know those ideas that you might have down below. 3 retirements, 2 safety cars, a VSC, a broken nose for Ocon, a retirement. Oh my word, I need to go have a lay down. I'll see you guys again soon for more. Thank you for watching today. It is me, Jack, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.